taking all of your stock related queries. Before we do that, the number that you can write to us at is flashing on your screens as well as the top of your screens. Do remember to mention the buy price for the stocks that you're already invested in. For the ones that you hope to be investing in, mention the time horizon that you have in mind so that we can help you better. But with that, let's kickstart taking all of your stock related queries. The first one that we have, and before we do that, let's also welcome Sharmila Joshi on board. Sharmila, thank you so much for taking time and joining us. The first query that we actually have is coming in on Natco Pharma from Matthews, who's writing to us from Bengaluru. Actually, he's a long-term investor. That's also something that he's mentioned. 50 shares of Natco Pharma, buy price was 1,250 rupees. Wants to know if he should be accumulating at this point. What do you think?
Overall, the valuations of the stock look fairly decent. Having said that, it's not really my favorite stock within the space. So if I had to actually be invested or looking to buy something, it would I would rather be in a stock like a Nipca or even a Sun Pharma at this point in time. But yes, I think he can continue to hold what he has.
Okay, so continue to hold Natco Pharma is the call coming in from Sharmila. Hi Sharmila, morning. And next viewer query is coming in from our viewer Mr. Kunal. He's writing to us from Hyderabad. He is holding Vedanta at 320 rupees and he wants to hold for 5 years more. Can you please advise what's the outlook on Vedanta? We don't have the quantity that he's holding, but nonetheless he wants your take on Vedanta and if he can continue to hold going ahead as well. What's the take?
So I'm not sure about 5 years, but definitely I think for the moment you need to continue to hold Vedanta simply because as we all know, they are undergoing this whole corporate restructuring bit where they will split into various entities, and this could mean good things for the existing shareholders because the sum of parts of their split could be worth more than what their current stock price is. So that's the sort of assumption the market has been working on, that the sum of parts will be more. And some of those companies, the businesses, they do look interesting. So perhaps going forward, when the split happens, you could continue to hold the interesting bits and exit the ones that you're not so fond of, and restructure your holding in that sense. But that said, I think what it simply means is that at this point in time, you need to hold on to Vedanta.
Alright, then that's a take coming in as far as Vedanta then is concerned. Sharmila, the next one that we have is coming in from Shaurya, who's writing to us from Gurugram. Wants to know about Bharat Dynamics from a long-term perspective. What do you think about this one? Because he wants to know if he should be adding at this point.
Yeah, so you know what, we've had this big run-up in PSU stroke defense sort of play, and then we did see a correction, which is precisely what we've seen even in Bharat Dynamics. That said, the valuation looks reasonable at this point in time. So I think definitely continue to hold what you have, but I would not be in a hurry to add fresh.
Okay, so that's the take coming on BDL, a hold call from Sharmila. On that note, we'll slip into a short break. Viewers, keep writing to us and we'll keep addressing your queries on the other side when we return, so don't go anywhere. Hi there, welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now. Thanks so much for still staying tuned to ET Now. We now have Ashok Krishnan, who's joining us on the board on the technical front. He's a senior analyst, technical and derivative research at Angel One. And we, of course, have, okay, fine. We will have Osho on board in a bit. We will continue our queries with Sharmila and we'll just try and reconnect that line with Osho. But Sharmila, coming to you again, we have our next query that's coming in from our viewer, Mr. Rajlaksh Mama from Bengaluru. He's a senior citizen. The stock in question is Avenue Supermart and he has been holding 50 shares of this stock ever since its IPO, and the price that he's got it for is 299 rupees per share. He's asking now what should be done when it comes to Avenue Supermart.
Well, I think he needs to obviously continue to hold. This stock has corrected. I think, let's not talk of IPO price because this was a IPO which was very well oversubscribed and very few people got allotment. So he's one of the lucky few who did get allotment, and he's held on to it all this time. Their story sort of did take a break because there were a lot of reports about a couple of years back that were suggesting very large targets for Avenue, and we've seen all that being taking a bit of a sort of a hit because there were sort of some hiccups where numbers were concerned and etc. But now I think things are sort of back on track, and the stock has also corrected in the interim. So I think now is not the time to sell if you don't really need, if you're not really in need of money. I think you should just hang on to what you have, which you've been lucky enough to get in IPO.
You have, that's the take coming in. As far as Avenue Supermarts then is concerned, quickly before we move on to the next query, I wanted to address United Spirits because the board has approved the appointment of Praveen Someshwar as the CEO from the 2nd of April as well. That is as per agencies. That is the latest update that you're getting. The stock is flashing on your screens as well, 1.7% uptick coming in as far as United Spirits is concerned. But next, let's move on to the next query that we also have. That is coming in from Anjali, who's writing to us from Chandigarh, wants to know about Aster DM Healthcare. Sharmila, what do you think about this one? Because she wants to know, in fact, about Aster DM Healthcare and Max Healthcare, wants to know which one is a better buy, which one is your pick amongst the two.
Very honestly, I don't track either of the two stocks. I think one was Aster DM and the other was Max Healthcare. So both are obviously in the sort of hospital space and hospital and healthcare, hospital stroke healthcare space. Both are, I think, decent. Max Healthcare does appear to be higher, a little bit priced higher on valuation multiples. So Aster DM seems to be the better from that point of view. Within that space, I think my favorite for the longest time has been Apollo Hospitals. So maybe that is another stock that the investor could consider.
Okay, Sharmila, I just want to ask, do you have any coverage on DCB Bank? That's a query that we are getting on the show. Do you have any coverage?
I don't have coverage, but this is a stock that I have been sort of studying for a long time. So within the banking space and looking at its valuations, it looks reasonable. So I think the investor can continue to hold.
Alright, then the next one that we actually have is coming in from Bengaluru. Raj Agarwal is writing to us, Sharmila, about Hero MotoCorp 10 shares. Buy price was 4,600 rupees. Wants to know what the outlook is looking like. What do you think?
In fact, I'm very fond of this stock at this price because, I think that what we've really seen is we have three sort of large listed two-wheeler companies. We have obviously Bajaj Auto, TVS Motor and Hero Motors. And, they have sort of taken turns to sort of be the leader in terms of preference as far as investors are concerned. And we've seen it getting reflected in the multiples. So at this point in time, Hero MotoCorp is completely out of favor and that reflects in their valuations. But I think they are putting lots of bits and pieces in place in terms of their the various tie-ups, the new models, their entry into electric, their presence already through holding in electric two-wheelers. Because to my mind, that's a very important space as far as two-wheelers is concerned. That is the electric two-wheeler space, because that I think will grow faster than passenger cars. It will be really utility vehicles and buses, etc., and two-wheelers, which could be the focus. So, which is why I've liked Ashok, Leyland as well as Hero Motor in this entire correction. So, to my mind, this is a stock which actually can be bought at this level and definitely hold on to what you have.
The next query, just addressing the ticker on the bottom of the screen, the flash coming in, latest coming in on the Trump tariff saga. US President Trump now on his platform Truth Social has said that higher tariffs will be implemented on the European Union and Canada if they work against the US. So, this is going to be a whole new layer and a whole new texture to what has already been amping up global markets and keeping them in a flurry on the back of these Trump tariffs. So interesting to watch out how this development will pan out and what the implication will be on our markets back home as well. But on that note, let's once again keep it going with all the queries coming in. And Sharmila, our viewer, the next viewer has asked for your specific view on this query. He requires a fundamental view on this stock, Larsen & Toubro, L&T in question. This is a query coming in from Mr. Vimal, who's writing to us from Mysore, Karnataka. And when it comes to L&T, Sharmila, is there a better stock from the infra space that you would recommend on the back of valuations, or do you believe that this is the best pick in the infra space at present?
So, honestly, I haven't really compared stocks within this space. Having said that, to my mind, L&T should be your preferred and preferred play within this within this sector. And for a couple of reasons. I think, of course, they're doing well in terms of where their order book is and, things like that. Then again, I think, from an economy point of view, if our focus is going to be on capital goods and infrastructure, which seems to be a logical thing, then again, this should be a preferred sort of space to be in. And to my mind, a whole host of stocks are in that sense interesting. But if you wanted to sort of build a portfolio where you had exposure to a large cap, then to my mind, perhaps Larsen and BHEL are the two stocks that I would go with. As a disclosure, I do own Larsen. So, and I'm not in any hurry to sell it. So that said, I think Larsen is a good stock to be present in this space.
Alright, then that's a take coming in as far as Larsen and Toubro is concerned. Thanks, Sharmila, for that take coming in. Ashok Krishan also joins us. He's the Senior Analyst, Technical and Derivative Research at Angel One. Osho, very good morning to you. The first query that I have for you is coming in from Jay, who's writing to us from Mumbai, as well as Rishikesh, who's writing to us from Mumbai. They both want to know about Tata Motors. 1,000 shares is what Jay is holding on to when it comes to Tata Motors at a buy price of 810 rupees. Wants to know how you see it technically placed on the charts. What do you think about this one?
Very good morning to both of you. Well, looking at the technical view of Tata Motors, then we have seen a very strong correction from the zone of 1150 towards approximately 600 odd levels. But historically, 600 has provided a very strong cushioning to this counter, and recently we have seen some kind of buying traction coming back in this counter from the zone of 600, 610 odd levels. So I'm expecting that 610, 620 is a very strong support for this counter on the technical front. So I'm not expecting that there could be a further dip beyond any time soon beyond 600 odd levels. So on the higher end, yes, until the uncertainty of tariff prevails in the market, there is some kind of volatility that is still hovering in the counter, but I'm expecting that on the downside, it is approximately 60 to 70 more points is the limited loss that one can have from current levels. While on the higher end, I'm expecting that from medium term perspective, there is a room for nearly 820 kind of a target. So one can definitely stay invested with Tata Motors for approximately 800, 810, 820 kind of a target from medium term.
So that's a take on Tata Motors. Sharmila, coming back to you. Next query coming in from our viewer Nikhil Sharma from Mumbai. He wants your view on United Spirits, wherein he's holding 20 shares at a price of 1,390 rupees thereabouts. His target, he thinks that this could reach 1,400. We leave that technical part. He's asking if he should continue holding this stock for the dividend that the stock gives. Fundamentally, we've just had news flow that the new CEO has been appointed and Hina Nagarajan is now out of the company ending this month. What's the view on United Spirits given that there has been a top level management change? So fundamentally, what's the take, and do you believe that this is a good stock to hold from a dividend point of view?
I don't know about the dividend point of view, but overall, this is a sector that I do like, and there are a whole host of stocks within this sort of, I think Radico Khaitan for me is a very interesting name, but in terms of valuations, it looks a little more expensive than United Spirits. Another stock which has corrected a lot, but which is not like, it's a wine stock. Sula Vineyards is the stock I'm talking of. It's available at very decent valuations. And so I think, that's another interesting stock that the investor could look at. But yes, I think, given the fact that he has United Spirits, higher levels are possible from a longer term perspective. So you could continue to hold.
Coming in as far as that particular counter is concerned, the next one that we actually have is coming in on Alkem Labs. Osho Karthikeyan is writing to us from Kerala. What do you see in terms of the charts for Alkem Labs?
See, again, this counter is also at a very strong support zone. Approximately 4,600 kind of a zone has historically also provided a very strong cushioning in the month of April 24. And again, during the same period in this year, we have retested the support zone. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, the downside is very limited in this counter. Approximately, we have a very strong support around 300 levels from here. While on the higher end, the resistance is placed around the zone of 5,400. So this is the positional view that I'm having with a medium-term time frame. So I'm expecting that overall the counter is at a very lucrative zone to accumulate from medium-term perspective. So one can stay invested. On the higher end, the time it breaches the zone of 5,400, then we can see an aggressive move coming back in this counter, because that coincides with the 200-day simple moving average and have a very strong resistance on the weekly time frame as well. So 5,400 will be a crucial hurdle. A breakout can give a very strong momentum in the counter.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll slip into a very short break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now and keep it going with queries on the other side when we return. So viewers, keep writing to us and we'll be right back shortly.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries. The next one that we actually have, Sharmila, is coming in from a viewer named Swati, who's written to us about a couple of counters. Actually, Angel One, 30 shares at a buy price of 2,800 rupees, and Ashok Leyland as well, 300 shares buy price. she's not mentioned. Yeah, 300 shares is what she's holding on to when it comes to Ashok Leyland as well. What do you think about both of these counters then?
Well, both are good, and the only caveat would be that they could take some time in recovering. Angel One for obvious reasons, because we are sort of seeing markets get into this sort of a funk where volumes seem to have slowed down, and that was the big story a couple of years back, where you had new investors joining in, and everything that was related to the sort of stock market, all the brokerage stocks were moving up. That said, if you're a long-term investor, obviously there's ways to go as far as this space is concerned. So you should stay invested in Angel One. Coming to Ashok Leyland, I think the bad news has been the fact of this, this whole the tariff news, because I believe not exactly the tariff, but I think there is some plant of theirs in Europe which is of that switch which they're planning to close, which has taken a bit of a, because of which the stock is taking a bit of a correction. But as I said earlier, this is a stock that I do like, because I think that electric buses as a space is a very good business as far as the Indian context is concerned, because they will find, a lot of city governments have said that they would like their transport to shift to electric vehicles. We are already seeing that in Mumbai in a big way. So, this is something that is just going to become bigger over a period of time. And overall, this is a stock, to my mind, that has been doing well over the last 2-3 years in the way they've sort of cleaned up their balance sheet, etc. So again, from a longer term perspective, this is a stock that I like. But as I said, I'm not. I think your holding period could be 12 to 18 months in both these stocks. If you're ready to be a long term investor, definitely stay put.
Last couple of minutes left on the show. Let's see how many queries we can squeeze in with Osho. And Osho, coming to you. Padma Sivarao is writing to us from Bangalore. His query is on BHEL. Is now a good time to price with a 3-year time horizon?
See, definitely the counter have seen a decent correction from the higher end, and now it is into a very strong consolidation period also. So there is a possibility for this counter to have a kind of a reversal from the current trend. So technically 190 to 185 is a very strong support, and a decisive breakthrough above the zone of 220 can push the counter towards the higher zone of 250-55 from a very short-term perspective. And from a medium to long-term perspective, one can definitely start accumulating this counter at current level.
And that's the take coming in as far as BHEL then is concerned. The next one that we actually have is coming in from Krish, who's writing to us about Gabriel India. Osho, what do you think about this one? Because 150 shares thereabout, buy price is 495 rupees, can add more for the next 3 years in mind. What do you think?
See, this counter have seen a very strong breakout from the zone of nearly 520 on the weekly and monthly time frame. So there has been a very strong multi-week breakout in this counter. So definitely the range has moved upwards towards the zone of 520 as a support and near about 640 as the next resistance level. So 520 to 680 is the immediate zone where we are expecting this counter to hover in the coming period. So one can definitely try accumulating this counter if in future there is any kind of profit booking which can give a kind of a breather to this counter towards the zone of 530, 520 odd levels, while on the higher end, 640 is the positional target that one can eye from a short to medium term perspective.
Okay, so that's the take coming in for Gabriel India. Let's move on from that. And Osho, next query is coming in from our viewer, who Mr. Siv Kumar, who's a professor in Bangalore. He is writing to us about LIC. He holds 60 shares of LIC ever since the IPO. He's saying the stock has not moved all that much. What should he do? Should he continue to hold, or should he just sell and reposition himself elsewhere in the market?
See, overall, now the counter has seen a correction from the zone of 1200 towards 750 odd levels. So there is no point of selling the counter at current levels. One should stay invested in this counter, though there is no very aggressive approach or aggressive target that I am expecting or seeing on the technical front. But there is a kind of a pullback that can be definitely seen for a target of nearly 900, 940 in the short term period. So one can definitely keep holding to their position from an investment point of view. And one needs to again review the counter once it reaches the zone of 900, 920 in the coming period.
And the next one that we actually have is coming in on GMR Airports. Osho, Suresh Nair is writing to us from Hyderabad, wants to know about 250 shares of GMR Airports. Buy price was 79 rupees thereabout. Long-term investor wants to know if you should be adding more.
Definitely, one can start accumulating this counter at current levels. For a short-term view, I'm having this counter is having a kind of a support near the zone of 68. while on the higher end, 85 is the immediate resistance. So this is the immediate trading range for the counter. The time we witness a breakthrough above the zone of 85, then from there onwards, 15 to 20 points of odd movement can be seen in this counter. So overall, technical view is positive. One can definitely start accumulating this counter at current levels and in a staggered manner. And even if there is any kind of movement or correction in the future that tracks the counter towards 70 or 68 odd levels, that will also provide opportunity to accumulate this counter.
Okay, so those are the levels to watch out for on GMR Airports. On that note, Osho, we will let you go. Thanks so much for joining us, as well as Sharmila for joining us on the show and helping our viewers with their queries. But viewers, keep writing to us, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. where we'll once again begin addressing all your queries with our experts for the day. So stay tuned to ET Now, keep writing to us, and stay tuned to the channel because Markets at Noon is up next as well.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.